morning students. Here we start with the gross anatomy of the facial line spaces within the palm. So in the facial line spaces within the palm we have three spaces, that is the mid-palmar space, thenar space and pulp space of fingers. Today we are going to discuss the mid-palmar space. So the mid-palmar space. Now in the mid-palmar space, first we try and understand the central hollow of our palm. There is a space between thenar and hypothenar group of muscles. So between the thenar, which is laterally, and hypothenar, which is medially, between these two groups, thenar and hypothenar group, there is a central hollow space in the palm. And this space is basically below the palmar aponeurosis and the long flexor tendons with lumbricals. So superficially there will be palmar aponeurosis and the long flexor tendons with lumbricals, and below that is our space. Now this mid-palmar space, basically first it is called the central palmar space, which is limited deep by fascia covering interossei muscles. Now this central hollow space, the central palmar space, is again divided by intermediate fibrous septum, the intermediate palmar septum. That intermediate fibrous septum is called intermediate palmar septum into two spaces, and those two spaces are called the mid-palmar space and thenar space. Mid-palmar space on the ulnar side, thenar space on the radial side. Straight away we draw one beautiful line diagram. That is the line diagram, the concept how we remember both the spaces. But today we are going to discuss the mid-palmar space. So therefore our diagram goes with the transverse section of the hollow of the palm. Remember, it is a section of the hollow of the palm. So we draw that in sectional view. First we draw on this side, let us take the cut surface of, this is the cut bone of the fifth metacarpal bone. Then we come across to the fourth metacarpal bone. Then we come across to the third metacarpal bone. Then we come across to the second metacarpal bone. And then we come across to the first metacarpal bone. So therefore, now we will show that there will be presence of thenar group of muscles which are present. This is of course a section, so we are going to draw this thenar group of muscles on the first metacarpal bone. So these are the thenar group of muscles, and I will write here T for thenar group of muscles. So this entire is a cross section of thenar group of muscles on the first metacarpal bone. Now coming to this side, here we will draw on this side, this will be the hypothenar group of muscles. So on the fifth metacarpal bone there is this hypothenar group of muscles. Now covering this entire thenar and hypothenar group of muscles, we will draw this fascia on the dorsum. This is extending across the dorsum, and here this fascia will then fuse with the palmar aponeurosis which I am drawing, and here also we will show that this fascia will go on the dorsum. This is the dorsum. Now the fascia which is covering the hypothenar and thenar group of muscles, that fascia will be continuous with the borders of palmar aponeurosis. So our palmar aponeurosis will be this one. This is our palmar aponeurosis once again in a cross section. So this is our palmar aponeurosis. Now the fascia covering the hypothenar muscles will fuse with palmar aponeurosis, and from the medial border, this is the medial ulnar border of palmar aponeurosis, this is the radial border of palmar aponeurosis or lateral border. So the fascia covering the hypothenar group of muscles, that will fuse with the medial border of palmar aponeurosis, and from the medial border of palmar aponeurosis there will be a fibrous septum which will pass down towards the palmar surface of the fifth metacarpal bone. And this fibrous septum which extends down towards the palmar surface of the fifth metacarpal bone is called medial palmar septum. So here we will name this as the medial palmar septum. That is simply a septum, fibrous septum from the medial border of palmar aponeurosis towards the palmar surface of fifth metacarpal bone. Similarly on this side, the fascia covering the thinner group of muscles will fuse with the radial border of the palmar aponeurosis or lateral border of palmar aponeurosis, and from there, from the lateral border of palmar aponeurosis, there will be a septa which will pass down, and that septa will completely pass down towards the first metacarpal bone, and as it passes towards the first metacarpal bone, here it will form lateral palmar septum. So here we will name this as lateral palmar septum. So this lateral palmar septum from the lateral border or radial border of the palmar aponeurosis towards the palmar surface of the first metacarpal bone, which is called the lateral palmar septum. Now here we will name this as palmar aponeurosis. Beneath the palmar aponeurosis, there will be the tendons, flexor tendons of digitorum superficialis and flexor tendons of digitorum profundus. So those tendons we are going to draw. For example, we start with 1, then 2, then 3 and 4. So this is the tendon going to index finger. This is the tendon which is going to, here I will write second, that is middle finger. This is the tendon which will go, here I will write 3. That is the tendon going to the ring finger, and this is the tendon which will go towards the little finger, flexor digitorum superficialis. Similarly, beneath them, just below them, flexor digitorum profundus. So these are the tendons of flexor digitorum profundus. Once again, these are the tendons of profundus. I will write here P. So flexor digitorum profundus tendons, flexor digitorum superficialis and flexor digitorum profundus tendons. Now, in between these profundus tendons, we show the lumbricals. So the lumbricals will be here. If I use this yellow color, the lumbricals will be the third and fourth lumbrical is bipinnate. So this will be the fourth. This will be the third lumbrical. Since they are bipinnate, these are the lumbricals, third and fourth. And then second and one, they will be unipinnate. So here we show second lumbrical, and here we show first lumbrical. Very simple. So therefore, here we are going to name this as the lumbrical muscles, yellow color, and we are going to name this as flexor digitorum profundus tendons, and we are going to name this as flexor digitorum superficialis tendons. Very simple. This is a transverse section. Remember, this is the section going across the palm. 4 tendons of superficialis, beneath them the 4 tendons of flexor digitorum profundus, and above those flexor tendons palmar aponeurosis. And right now the fascia which is covering the under surface of the palmar aponeurosis. Now from the under surface of palmar aponeurosis, there will be a vertical fibrous septum which will pass till the palmar surface of the third metacarpal bone, and that vertical septum with green color, if I show, which will pass towards the third metacarpal bone, and that palmar septum will be known as intermediate palmar septum. So here we show a vertical septum which is going towards the palmar surface of the third metacarpal bone. This is the intermediate palmar septum. This is the intermediate palmar septum. So therefore we are going to name this as, please see that it is visible, intermediate palmar septum. Vertical septum, fibrous septum, from under surface of palmar aponeurosis till the palmar surface of third metacarpal bone. Now, what we complete the diagram will be, in between the metacarpal bones we show the dorsal introsei. So dorsal introsei, remember, they all are bipinnate. So here we show the dorsal introsei. These all are the dorsal introsei which are bipinnate. So we show this dorsal introsei in the metacarpal space. This is the first metacarpal space, second, third and fourth. This is the fourth metacarpal space here, third and fourth. So third and fourth metacarpal space we show, these are the dorsal introsei. So therefore between fifth and fourth metacarpal, between fifth and fourth metacarpal is the fourth metacarpal space where we have bipinnate dorsal introcei. Between the fourth and the third metacarpal, we have the third metacarpal space which contains the third dorsal introcei muscle. Similarly, over here, this is the second metacarpal space, intermetacarpal space, which will contain the second dorsal introcei muscle, and here it will contain the first dorsal introcei muscle. Remember, all the dorsal introcei are bipinnate, that is why we are showing these dorsal introcei. So here, these are the metacarpal spaces, first, second, third, fourth. All of them are containing 1, 2, 3 and 4 dorsal introcei which are bipinnate. Now we show the palmar introcei. Now the palmar introcei, naturally they are unipinnate, so we are showing this as the fourth palmar introcei. Then we are showing over here, we show this as the third palmar introcei. Then over here we show this as the second palmar introcei. All of them are unipinnate. Palmar introcei are unipinnate. Palmar introcei, they are unipinnate. So this is the fourth one, this is the third one, this is the second, and over here this will be the first one, palmar introcei. And together we will label all these structures as introcei, simply. This is for the clarity which I discussed with you, the introcei, but basically we mention all these we mark these structures as introcei. And now our space is formed. And see how beautiful the boundaries are there. Now, the mid-palmar space is a space which is present in the central of the hollow of the palm, which is limited laterally by the intermediate fibrous septum, which is known as intermediate palmar septum, which is extending from under surface of palmar aponeurosis to the palmar surface of third metacarpal bone. So this is the lateral boundary. Medially, the mid-palmar space is formed by another septum which is known as, previously we have marked this as medial palmar septum. Similarly, the entire space, the mid-palmar space, is limited superficially or in front, because this is superficial, we always call it as in front. So in front it is limited by what structures? Palmar aponeurosis, flexor digitorum superficialis tendons and flexor digitorum profundus tendons. But tendons going to which digits? The tendons going to middle finger, ring finger and little finger. And also two lumbricals. These two lumbricals are which number? The third and the fourth lumbricals. So therefore, anteriorly or in front, the mid-palmar space will have presence of palmar aponeurosis, the flexor digitorum superficialis and flexor digitorum profundus tendons going to the middle ring and little finger, and also third and fourth lumbrical muscles. What about dorsal? What about the posterior? What about behind? So dorsal or posterior behind, where my hand is there, it consists of the introcei which are present in third and fourth metacarpal spaces or intermetacarpal spaces. So these are the third and the fourth intermetacarpal spaces or metacarpal spaces where there will be presence of the introcei. And we know third and fourth dorsal introcei, they are present in the metacarpal spaces belonging to third and fourth spaces. So this will form the behind boundary. What are the structures which are lying behind the mid-palmar space? The structures which are lying behind or posterior or deep to the mid-palmar space will be introcei, the fascia which covers the introcei in the third and fourth metacarpal spaces. So therefore our mid-palmar space in this section is formed. So therefore, now if we line our mid-palmar space, this is our mid-palmar space. So this space which is formed over here is mid-palmar space. Here I will write down mid-palmar space. Now, what will be the shape of this? Since this is a section, coronal section or transverse section of the palm, so we are able to view only the slit portion of the mid-palmar space, in which we are able to view the anterior or superficial boundaries, we are able to view the posterior, that is behind or deep boundaries, we are able to view the lateral boundaries, and we are able to view the medial boundary. The space, if we view in panoramic view, the entire mid-palmar space is triangular in shape. Now two more boundaries are left to be discussed. Before we go to that diagram, first of all, let us revise. The mid-palmar space is one of the central palmar spaces which is triangular in shape, which is limited superiorly or anteriorly or in front by palmar aponeuris is the tendons of flexor digitorum superficialis and the tendons of flexor digitorum profundus going to the middle finger, ring and little finger and third and fourth lumbricals. This space is bounded below or behind or posteriorly by the interossei belonging to third and fourth metacarpal spaces. This space will be bounded laterally by intermediate palmar septum, and the mid-palmar space is bounded medially by medial palmar septum. Now we come to, please come on this side, please come on this side. We first draw a very simple little finger, then the ring finger, then the middle finger, then the index finger, and then the thumb. Now over here we draw the flexor retinaculum. Now over here we show this is the flexor retinaculum, flexor retinaculum. Therefore, our mid-palmar space, which is triangular, here we show the proximal and distal boundaries. So here we show this extension and we show this extension and we complete this mid-palmar space. So this is exactly the mid-palmar space. Proximal boundary, distal boundary. Now proximal boundary here, it is limited to the distal border of flexor retinaculum in such a way that the parietal layer of ulnar bursa that we have discussed in the previous lecture modules, that is the parietal layer of ulnar bursa or common synovial sheath will fuse with the carpus, the anterior wall of the carpus, that is anterior wall of the carpal bones, and that fusion will take place distal border, across the distal border of flexor retinaculum. So this is the proximal boundary of mid-palmar space. Once again I'll repeat, the proximal boundary of mid-palmar space is limited to distal border of flexor retinaculum, where parietal layer of ulnar bursa, which is also known as common synovial sheath, is fused with the anterior surface of carpal bones. Very simple. And what is ulnar bursa? What is that common synovial sheath that we have discussed earlier? So because of that parietal layer of ulnar bursa which is fused with the anterior layer of carpus bones, that is the limitation of the proximal boundary of mid-palmar space. Sometimes, very rarely, this mid-palmar space will extend in the forearm space of Perona. In the forearm space of Perona, sometimes it will extend. In some cases, proximally it will extend. Now what about the distal boundaries? The distal boundaries, see here, we have drawn the distal boundaries in such a way that they will extend in the form of, now this is the distal boundary, they will extend in the form of, if I put these two arrows, diverticula. So distally they will extend as diverticula towards the web. Which webs? The webs between middle and ring finger and the web between ring and little finger. So this is the web. So distally it will extend as diverticula towards these webs, and these diverticula, they will extend along the sheath of the third and fourth lumbrical muscles. So this is the distal extension as diverticula towards the web of the fingers between middle and ring and little finger, these two webs, as diverticula of third and fourth lumbrical muscle. And now the applied anatomy. In applied anatomy, if it is filled with pus, then surgically these webs are split here. Surgical splitting of the web of between middle and ring and little finger will drain the pus in mid-palmar space. This is the applied anatomy. If the mid-palmar space is filled with pus, then surgically the web is split and the pus will be drained. Which web? The web between middle and ring finger and the web between ring and little finger. So this is the entire anatomy of mid-palmar space. And remember, if you have this section, please come on this side, this is the diagram of that particular section. So here we end the mid-palmar space. Thank you very much.